Chapter 4, The Demogorgons. So now that I have established that the Duffer Brothers have ruined Vecna as the main antagonist of the show, we can now discuss how they have also pretty thoroughly gutted the Demogorgons as a dangerous monster. Now I have touched on some of these issues already, but something I wanted to drive home is how inconsistent these creatures are. I mean, on one hand, they are extremely powerful beings that can withstand getting shot from multiple automatic assault rifles, but on the other hand, they are seemingly affected by water balloons, getting hit by shovels, getting stabbed by wine bottles, and in Season 4, Hopper could straight up kill one with a sword. It just doesn't seem very consistent. Not only that, but their level of competency is all over the place. Like, the Demogorgons are absolute pros at taking out faceless goons, but when it comes to the main characters, they turn into clumsy assholes. I mean, are you seriously telling me that these soldiers are easier to deal with than Holly? How does she even manage to escape this situation in episode 2? She is an undefended child who has no preconceived notion of what's going on here. Hell, Will seemed like a much more capable character in Season 1, and he got kidnapped in seconds. Yet the Demogorgon here has a really difficult time dragging her through the portal. I guess slippery boots are its kryptonite? How clever. Now, a lot of people think that Will's mental connection to the hive mind throws off the Demogorgons, making them less competent when they're taking on the main characters. Which is true in some situations, like when Joyce faces off against one with an axe. However, it's pretty clear when Will's doing this. He begins to have a seizure, and we can actually see his mental connection to the hive mind. However, he wasn't connected when Karen fought the Demogorgon, or when Holly escaped. It's clear by these examples that the writers make the Demogorgons a threat when they want them to be, and then they make them dumb as hell whenever it's convenient for the main characters to escape. We saw the same problem with the Xenomorphs in Alien Earth. We are supposed to believe that these are super dangerous and deadly monsters. However, the show never commits to the idea. This is a mark of lazy writing, as the creators are never trying to be consistent. It's just whatever's easiest for them. And that kind of attitude towards storytelling is pretty contemptible. Chapter 5. The military are also a bunch of dumbasses. Okay, so the military factions in Stranger Things have been made into a complete joke since Season 3. What was originally a mysterious and threatening force is now just a bunch of mindless clowns that make a bunch of idiotic decisions. We see that the gang can infiltrate heavily secure military bases regularly and without fail. It's gotten so routine at this point that it's not even a question that if they can do it anymore, just how it will happen. In Season 3, we see that they somehow infiltrate a secret Russian bunker, and in Season 4, Joyce and Murray are able to sneak into the most heavily guarded prison in the Soviet Union. So I guess it's no wonder that the entire cast is able to get in and out of a super secure dimensional portal that the US military is guarding. Why would that be a problem, right? So after the Season 4 finale, where Hawkins was turned into a huge gate to the Upside Down, the military came in and put the entire town on lockdown. On a side note, why are these kids sledding down a concrete hill? How could this be fun or even comfortable? It reminds me of the Brotherhood of Steel playing basketball with fucking bricks in the Fallout show. Oh my god, is this what Hollywood writers do for fun?
They're never gonna stop!
Endless trash!
Anyway, so instead of evacuating Hawkins so the government can conduct their secret interdimensional experiments in peace, they instead decide to imprison the entire town so that the people can stick around and create problems for them. Supposedly they do this because they think the townsfolk might be contaminated by the ashfall. However, this doesn't make sense because A, the military knows the Upside Down's air is breathable, and B, it's been 18 months since the Season 4 finale. So surely there would be some signs by now that people have been infected by something. I mean, I know that the government wouldn't put people on lockdown without a good reason, right? Right? Then there's the issue of the portal itself. I mean, after an earthquake rocked the town and a giant dimensional portal opened up, wouldn't you think that evacuating the civilians would be the government's top priority? After all, what if it happens again? Or what if an army of strange and evil creatures comes through from the other side? Wouldn't you want everyone to be at a safe distance? I know I wouldn't want to be at ground zero of an interdimensional invasion, so there is no good reason for the townsfolk to be there. It doesn't make any sense for their own safety, and they are simply inconveniencing the military. After all, this would be a super secret project. For example, you wouldn't want a bunch of meddling teenagers wandering around causing you trouble. But hey, then the show wouldn't happen, right? Oh no. Even on a practical defense level, the army never seems to put any effort into patrolling or stopping any spies from watching the base. We see in the first episode that Mike and Lucas are able to get into this tower and observe the entire military operation without anyone spotting them. Why would you leave this kind of vantage point unguarded in the first place? Realistically, there'd be a couple soldiers here at all times so random fucking people wouldn't come here and see what they're doing. Fuck the characters, they would also be worried about spies and journalists trying to get pictures and evidence of what's really going on. This would be huge news after all, and the Russians have obviously pulled this kind of shit before. I cannot stress enough how fucking airtight everything would be around here. Hawkins would make Area 51 look like a walk in the park. The very idea that Hopper has successfully snuck onto a military convoy and gotten in and out of the Upside Down nearly 40 times is laughable. Then there's these huge tunnels that the army is of course somehow unaware of. After season 2, the government would be aware of its existence. After all, Sullivan would have had access to whatever information Owens and his people had written up about it. So either Sullivan knew about the tunnels and did nothing about them, making him an idiot, or he did know about them and simply chose not to deal with them, also making him an idiot.
Fuck.
I mean, why wouldn't Sullivan just fill in the tunnels with cement? After all, what commander would allow massive tunnels to run under their super secure base that contains a gateway to another dimension? Also, why wouldn't the military just set up a base on the exact opposite side of the portal? That way both bases are pretty much physically connected, and you wouldn't need to have these stupid convoys that get infiltrated by Hopper and destroyed by demogorgons. Then we have this supposedly epic battle at the Mother Gate in episode 4. And I know a lot of people are consumed by the cool tracking shots and the exciting action, but this is some of the dumbest shit to happen in the entire show. So first of all, the demogorgons attack and the soldiers for some reason just start shooting at the creatures in big circles. Bullets are flying everywhere and it's all very chaotic. It would not be difficult to assume that probably half the soldiers here got killed from friendly fire. Also, nobody seems to realize that bullets don't seem to work on these things. So you would think that they would try to retreat or regroup and try a new tactic. I mean, they know that the demogorgons don't like heat, so why aren't there more flamethrowers on hand? They have 2 fucking guys here out of seemingly hundreds that have any capability of producing fire. Wouldn't that just be the main weapon at the base? Or how about when Vecna shows up? We see that the army is very prepared to use sonic cannons on 11 at any given moment. They have them strapped to their Humvees and helicopters. Hell, they even have them set up in their laboratories. So why aren't they set up all around the main base as well? I mean, wouldn't they be prepared for 11 to show up there? And sure, they might not know who Vecna is or what his weaknesses are, but you could turn the sirens on at least. It wouldn't hurt to try. But nope, the army can't do any of that because that would mean that the writers would have to maintain consistency with the rules and the standards that they put into place. And that's just too difficult, I guess. So unfortunately, just like every other antagonist in this show, the military has been reduced to goofy cartoons that fail to operate with any logic or forethought. Chapter 6. Subscribe to my channel. See what I did there? So hey, if you stuck around this long, then why don't you hit that subscribe button and help the channel grow? I know it's difficult to commit to a long-term relationship like this, but let's put the baggage and trauma to the side, shall we? I won't hurt you like they did. Chapter 7. The Tale of Sullivan and the Byers family. Colonel Sullivan is a character that is established in Season 4 as someone who is hell-bent on killing 11. He thinks that she's behind all the killings that Vecna is doing in Hawkins. And without any real evidence, this guy is willing to commit war crimes and break numerous other laws in pursuit of his goal. One of these insanely idiotic crimes is when he sends a kill squad to the Byers house. They shoot up the place, kill an agent, almost execute a family, and then they capture and torture another agent who was protecting them.
It jumped up a notch.
It did, didn't it?
Jonathan, Mike, and Will return to save 11 from Sullivan at the bunker, and they are on the run from him for the rest of the season. So we can assume that Sullivan is pretty aware of who the Byers family is and their involvement with 11. Because, you know, they adopted her. So why is it in Season 5 that the Byers are just freely walking around this occupied military zone that Sullivan is in direct control over? Like they're not even trying to hide. Will is going to school now, and Jonathan has a job at the radio tower. I mean, did Sullivan forget about the Byers family? Would they still not be persons of interest to him? Wouldn't he want to capture them and interrogate them for information? He seems totally fine with torture, mass murder, and breaking national laws, so why wouldn't he use these methods on Will, Jonathan, and Joyce? They would have all the information he needs to know. After all, he is clearly still trying to find Eleven, so wouldn't his first move be to find her family and friends? You know, get some information out of them, and then even use them for bait to draw Eleven out? We even see later on that one of Sullivan's men has to introduce him to Joyce. Like, what the fuck, man? She should be your #1 suspect. They should have wanted posters all over town with their faces on it, just like Eleven does. Not only that, but they'd also be after Mike as well. Or how about Argyle? Where's he at? Is the military zapping his balls right now for information? This made me question the Byers family as well. Why aren't they hiding with Hopper and Eleven in the woods? Did they walk away from that shootout and were like, yeah, don't ever need to worry about that happening again? The idea of them staying with Hopper would also solidify this family dynamic that was set up in season 4. It's clear that Eleven has been adopted by Joyce, and Hopper is her dad, so wouldn't they all want to stay together as a family anyway? Not only that, but they're also putting the Wheeler family in danger because they are essentially protecting fugitives at this point. This just adds to the fact that this entire martial law thing in Hawkins feels fucking weak. There's nothing different about the characters' lives here. They go to school, have jobs, and everyone acts no differently. There isn't even a need to hide from the soldiers here. I mean, the main characters can ride around in this big fucking van with a giant antenna strapped to the top of it, and no one seems to care. This makes Sullivan a really needless and idiotic character. He has the entire town on lockdown, and has all the information and resources necessary to find Eleven, but he simply cannot do it because the writers are too incompetent to apply any logic to their story. This creates massive plot holes that are truly unfixable at this point, and I'm only getting started.